January the 7th, 2011. A new year and a new challenge. Ross Kaiser flies into Florida for the biggest weekend of his racing career so far. The roar before the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. You don't realise how big it is until you come here for real. You see it on TV and it looks pretty impressive, but until you actually see the banking and everything else, so it's pretty special.
At Daytona, there'll be nowhere to hide. Ross has to cope with the pressure of competing with some of the best drivers in the world. Drivers like Juan Pablo Montoya, Scott Dixon, NASCAR's Jimmy Johnson, and Indy 500 champion Dario Franchitti.
Well, this is the roar before the Rolex 24, and I guess the name comes from this first event of the year. They all start up the engines, makes a lot of noise, and it's the dress rehearsal for the big race in 2 weeks' time, the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
Back with Doran Racing, Ross's newly confirmed teammates are lead driver Brian Frizzell, all-rounder Henri Richard, and the youngest member, Matt Bell. Before the car had even turned a high-speed lap, there was trouble.
We're just doing the install lap, which is pretty normal, going around, not going quick at all, and went down to the bus stop, hit the brakes, and felt a weird chatter. You know, I was just planning on bringing it back to the pits nice and slow, but unfortunately we had a rotor fail. The rotor broke off, and then that created a suspension failure in the right front. So at the same time, you know, that's racing, and if we're going to have trouble, it's better to happen now than later.
Back at the garage, the crew's pulled out all the stops and the car is ready. Brian finally pounds round the track and gives the car a thorough shakedown. With the car set up, Ross gets the nod.
You want to run a few laps? Yeah, jump in there and see. For today, if he could just match Brian Frizzell's numbers, then we'll be in good shape.
However, he makes a nervous start. In the unfamiliar and wide-open surrounds of Daytona Speedway, braking points and even the Doran Racing pit box are proving hard to locate.
Maybe you ought to slow down. Chicane. You've got 3 days. It won't work when you're chit-chatting coming down pit lane the whole time. No matter what the volume is, it's only one-way communication.
By the end of his first run, Ross's lap times have dropped from 10 seconds off Frizzell's pace to within 5. In the right direction, but still not close enough. After more running repairs and the fixing of an electrical issue, Ross takes the car back out and continues racking up the miles into the dusk.
Figuring out where we're going now. I've got one more run this evening in the dark, so I've driven in the dark a few times before, but certainly not at Daytona, so it's going to be a new experience, and I'm looking forward to it.
There's no time to relax. Nighttime testing brings new challenges, the glare of the lights and changes in visibility. Ross is still improving, but time is running out. If he wants to be competitive, he'll have to pull something out of the bag, and soon.
I'm not quite sure how old my tyres were, so I want to find out. They had to change the rubber just before I went out, so I'm not sure how many laps it had done, so ideally I want to be a little bit closer to the front running pace, so we'll see. I'll have a chat with the guys, see how old the tyres were. Slight vibration at the end, so there's only 2 minutes to run. Brought the car in, just get the guys to check out, make sure we get a full day's running tomorrow.
Day 3, and it's the last chance for Ross to make an impression. With a little encouragement from team boss Kevin Doran, Ross comes out fighting. As he finally starts to feel at home at Daytona, the lap times drop and his confidence grows. With a great final run, Ross rewards the team's faith and proves the test at VIR was not a fluke.
A rocky start for the team, and it was a rocky start for Ross. It looked like he was just not comfortable here at Daytona. I don't know if it's the banking or maybe the lack of physical features getting into turn one and also the chicane in the heavy braking zones. I think after sleeping on it for 2 nights, he just woke up and he knew where he was at, and it all came to him. So he's pretty quick today. So looks good for race week.
Birmingham, England, the 13th to the 16th of January, and the Autosport International Racing Car Show, the largest dedicated motorsport exhibition in Europe. Ross promotes the Daytona event with Anders Hildebrand and Alana France, the international sales director for the Daytona Speedway.
These guys are considered rock stars, you know, and they're just really incredible. They're also so very nice. I think our fans just really love the fact that they're able to talk to them, to get up close to them, where maybe they might not be that accessible in some of the other series that they participate in.
Nearly 200 quicker than me last weekend, but so he was
pushing the expanding British lineup for the Rolex 24 were experienced racers Martin Brundle and Mark Blundell.
Always been a little bit of a dream for the pair of us to drive in the same car. I've always been against each other in whatever we've done, and although we're best of buds, there's always a bit of competition, and that won't stop even though we're driving the same car. But that was one thing that ticked the box, and also the Daytona 24. You know, yeah, it's a great name. Want it on my CV. Got Le Mans, fancy doing this, opportunity was there.
The show is a great platform for the movers and shakers of the motorsport world, with hosts of exhibitions and press conferences. For Ross, it was another element of his roller coaster ride.
Along the way through my racing career, there's TV snippets and some interviews, but when you turn up here at a show as big as the Autosport show on this scale, and you're sitting in front of 50 people doing a press conference, and you've got Dave Spitzer from Grand Am on the phone from America, and Alana's flown over. Yeah, it's pretty huge, and like you say, doing the raw test last weekend, and then coming here, and then we fly back out on a week on Monday, ready for the race. Yeah, it's all coming around pretty quickly, and like you say, the realisation that you've made it and you're off to do the 24-hour race at Daytona.
Next time, he faces the biggest challenge of his career, the longest night in motor racing, the 24 hours of Daytona.